Alright, this video is on how to trim a yard like a pro. I have the FS 111 right here with the speed feed head on there, and basically what I'm doing right here is, as you can see, my feet are moving, but the trimmer actually is not moving. I'm moving. The trimmer is, I'm holding it very steady in my hand. It's very little movement in the trimmer, as you can see. Okay, and what I did was right here is I stood in the grass and trimmed on that side, and I stood on the sidewalk and trimmed that side, just so you can see the difference. I prefer the left side because it just looked a lot crispier to me, but I do trim both ways. Sometimes I stand on the sidewalk, sometimes I stand in the grass. It's just whatever is convenient to me at the time, because I work very fast. But as you can see, the left side just looks a lot crispier to me. It's just, and the customers love to have that deep edge where you can see the soil a little bit sometimes. And I'll be honest, if I'm really trying to impress a new customer, I always stand in the grass and do it. Now this side, as you can see, the grass, it's a few just sticking out. It just doesn't look as crispy to me. It just don't. But you could get away with it all day long. I just wanted you to see the difference of standing in the grass or the sidewalk, because it does make a difference. Whenever I if I have a choice, I'm gonna stand in the grass. If I have a choice, if I'm just moving real fast, I honestly just do both. I do both of them. I don't have a preference, because they both really the same to me. And back to what I was saying, I trim up that curve too. I never skip that curve. And as you can see, it was a little bit of grass kind of growing on the street, and I came back around and got that little bit of grass that's in the street too. I don't always do that, but just on this video, I want to just show how it's done from beginning to end, how to do it right. And that's what I'm doing here. I'm just doing it how I would normally go about my work day. I'm standing in the grass. You saw that little piece where I was standing on the sidewalk. It's just whatever's convenient to me at the time. But if the direction I'm gonna start with the trimmer is whichever way I could stand in the grass, just because it just has that extra crispy look to it. Right here, I don't really go up in the flower beds. That's not really included in my price. But if I see that it's grass inside of the flower beds, or just extremely tall weeds, I will just go ahead and take a quick second and go in there and just touch the flower bed up, just because I know the customer would appreciate it, to be honest. But that's not really included in my price. The flower beds is a whole different price. And right here, what I'm doing is I'm showing you how to cut this trimmer onto automatic. The half choke on this FS 111, you don't even have to squeeze the trigger no more. It just goes full steam once you put it on there. I like that feature on this trimmer. This is the only trimmer I've ever had where I could do that, where I could just set it on and I don't have to squeeze the trigger, and it just full blast, full power on there. It's a great feature. It saves my fingers from having to squeeze that trigger so much, and it's a great feature. So what I'm doing right here is I go against the house all the way around the house. And then I go in the middle of the ground and I just keep the trimmer tilted about 30 degrees, and I get all of the grass out the cracks of the ground. I don't go deep into the ground. I just trim off just the tops of them, as you can see me doing right here. I just just the tops of them. Next, I'm getting ready to show you two different kind of gates that I trim up against. And I didn't say this in the video at first, but I cut this yard first. I always cut the yard first. So right here, I'm trimming up against this gate. I'm not going all the way to the ground. All I'm doing is evening it out with the grass that I already cut. That's all I'm doing. I went up a couple. I only go down, even on this gate right here. I'm not trimming this all the way to the ground. I'm literally keeping this the strings on this string trimmer level with the grass that I already cut. That's all I'm doing right here. I'm not going to, as you can see, I'm not going all the way to the ground at all. I'm not scalping this yard. All I'm doing when I go up against any gate, bricks, anything, the house, well, not the house, but well, yeah, the house. If it's near grass, all I'm doing when I go up against the house or a gate or a tree or a fire hydrant, a pole, anything, all I'm doing is cut. When I trim around those objects, all I'm doing is cutting it even with the rest of the grass. That's all I'm doing. That's it. Anything that you go up against, like when I went up against this garage right here, all I did was cut at the same height that the grass. You see, there's no bald spots up against there. There's no bald spots up against the gate, up against anything. All I did was cut it even. And what I'm doing right here is the icing on the cake. This is why people always want to trim the yard first, because they be worried about all the little pieces that's going to be left over. It's going to be way less pieces left over if you, for one, cut the grass first, because you're going as far as you could go with the mower. Then once you trim the yard, all it takes is seconds to go over and just blow the yard, and just spread it out just like you would do a side discharge mower. Basically, once you get done trimming this yard, you using this blower as the same way you would use a side discharge mower. As you can see what I'm doing, all I'm doing is dissipating the grass, spreading it out evenly, just like a side discharge mower would do. No different. So it makes no sense to cut the grass. It makes no sense to trim a yard first and then turn around and then mow over it, because yeah, this is a lot of grass, and I purposely picked this particular property to make this video on, because I knew it was going to be a lot of trimming on here. But what I'm saying is, the blower it's a certain technique that you have to use to trim, which I just showed you, and the icing on the cake is this blower right here. If you don't have this blower on full blast, when you have your blower on, don't just tap the blower, put it on full blast, and never use it under full blast. There's no reason. This mower is used, you should be using this blower as a side, as the same way you would use a side discharge motor. You dissipating everything and making it look clean and even. It's the icing on the cake. It's the icing on the cake right here, the blower. You should never have to trim a yard first. The only way I would say you could trim a yard first is if you have helpers, or if there's more than one of y'all out there. Then obviously somebody's gonna be fast with the trimmer. Then they gonna hit spots that haven't been cut yet. But when I had a helper with me, I'll always tell them, follow behind me wherever I go with the mower first. Follow behind me after that. It makes trimming so much easier. It makes trimming so much easier. Like, if you cut the yard first before you trim, you just cut down literally over 50% of the trimming that you would have had to do. You got to break out this blower anyway. And this is a handheld blower I did this with. All right. Like and subscribe. Peace.